Oh, shucks. Up where the smoke is all billowed and curled, between pavement and stars, lies the chimney sweep swirl, where there's hardly no day and there's hardly no night, just things half in shadows and halfways in light. On the rooftops of Waxahachie. Usually everybody cheers when I say the name of the town. No, that's all right. Just letting you know what other people do. What a sight. Chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim, chimney, chim, chimney, chim, chim, cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss, 'cause that's lucky too. Now that the ladder of life has been strung, you might think a sweep's on the bottommost rung. Though I spend my time in the ashes and smoke, in this so wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. When you're with a sweep you're in glad company, 'cause nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. Chim chimney, chim chim cheree. When you're with a sweep, you're in glad company. Nowhere is there a more happier crew than them what sings chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. Chim chimney, chim chim cheree, chim cheroo. Thank you. Thank you very much. I was informed that we have a birthday in the house, and it's Amos. Is that right?
I think it is.
I think it's Amos's birthday. And well, that's close enough. I mean, mine was last week, and I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what we do for my birthday, and then we're going to do it for Amos because Amos's friend really wanted to put his buddy on the spot.
He did a good job.
And also a little bit me, but I'm game. So at my head, just because I got to be different, I told my family a couple of years ago, don't just sing happy birthday. I want to go old school, because you know what they used to sing on somebody's birthday before they wrote the birthday song? For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. So So I have my family sing when they bring the cake out at just, family dinner. They sing for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. And then one of my sisters says 3 cheers for Jacob's birthday. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray. So that's what we're going to do for Amos. Amos, I apologize. Be mad at him. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. 3 cheers for Amos's birthday. Hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray, hip, hip, hooray. Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It's nice having friends who, will put you on the spot and whose chief goal in life is to embarrass you and make you uncomfortable in a room full of people. But if you got somebody like that, then you're doing pretty good in this life, Amos. I'll tell you. Amos, just since it's your birthday, why don't you name just any song in the world, any of them. Well, it can't be Freebird. Okay, it can't be Freebird. Probably not any Southern rock songs, but anything else. Anything else. Just not Freebird, not Southern rock, or like Leonard Skinner or anything like that. Just any. Just name them. Just any of them.
How about J.J. Cale song?
And it can't be J.J. Cale or like Freebird.
Is that Clapton? You know Clapton?
Well, I mean, Jay, he wrote a lot of songs for Clapton. That's a little bit too close, and I did know, so it can't be like Clapton. Could it be like Ray Charles? Like anything? If it could. Okay, now that I could do. I could do that. So this is a special Ray Charles song just for Amos's birthday, because Amos, you may not know, was born in Georgia, right? Amos, go play along. It's all part of the show. Yeah. He's from Georgia. And so I'll play this old Ray Charles song. It's going to be so much better than if I had done one of the others. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Georgia, Georgia, a song of you comes as sweet and clear as moonlight through the pines. Other arms reach out to me, other eyes smile tenderly, but still in peaceful dreams I see the road leads back to you. Georgia, Georgia, no peace I find, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. no peace I find. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind. What is the deal? That was my. There used to be this show Seinfeld that was on a long time ago. They're all just staring at me.
Yeah. I know it.
Are you hip to the Buddy Rich tapes? So I really shouldn't go into this because Randy's right. So there's a famous jazz drummer called Buddy Rich. Most of you probably heard. I mean, he was a big shot. He was on like Carson. He would come out on Carson and hang out with Sinatra and those guys. He was the cat. But later in his career, some of the guys in his band, he could be a little difficult. And there were some tapes that circulated of him just berating everybody in his band after like a concert, after a performance. Now, to Buddy's, in his defense, he was an old timer. And I think he took the music a lot more seriously than these young cats that were just showing up and trying to play a game. I think that irked him, in his defense. But so these tapes circulated of Buddy Rich just going to town. All these guys. You are not going to have that beard on stage. You're not going to tell me how my band is going to look. That beard is gone, or just crazy stuff. And these tapes circulated because they were ridiculous and entertaining, and they made their way into the hands of Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. So there are little lines from the Buddy Rich tapes in a few episodes of, and if you're, you can go to YouTube and listen to the Buddy Rich tapes. They're not safe for work. Just going to let you know. And there are a few little moments from the Buddy Rich tapes that made their way into Seinfeld. So that's what you can do this weekend is... Anyway, I'm just interested in weird stuff. That's really what it comes down to. My wife's been out of the country for about a week on a work trip, and the whole time she's been gone, I've been watching like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis movies. Because when the cat's away, the mice will play. So why not? Here's a Dean tune I like to play. When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower bending in the breeze, bend with me, sway with ease. When we dance you have a way with me, stay with me, sway with me. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have the magic technique. When we sway, I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Other dancers may be on the floor, dear, but my eyes will see only you. Only you have the magic technique. When we sway, I go weak. I can hear the sound of violins long before it begins. Make me thrill as only you know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. You know how. Sway me smooth, sway me now. Ba 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 boo, ba 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 boo. You know, once I get started playing those old songs, I can't stop. In the wee small hours of the morning, while the whole wide world is fast asleep, you lie awake and think about the girl and never ever think of counting sheep. When your lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hers if only she would call. In the wee small hours of the morning, that's the time you miss her most of all. In the wee small hours of the morning, while the whole wide world is fast asleep, you lie awake and think about the girl and never ever think of counting sheep. When your lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hers if only she would call. In the wee small hours of the morning, that's the time you miss her. That's the time you miss her most of all. Little Frank there for you. intention. Settle down out there. It's getting too rowdy. Getting too rowdy. The baby's trying to sleep upstairs.
Yeah, whatever.
The baby's trying to sleep upstairs. So if you could just be a little quiet. No, there's no babies. Okay. Then I'm going to start swearing. Just kidding. It's the Late Show. Might get a little rough. Might get a little raunchy.
Where'd you get your shoes?
They are Taft boots, T-A-F-T, and they are my show shoes. Well, thank you. They got a lot of stage presence. And on this is a really nice carpeted stage, but on a wooden stage, they help me keep time too. You know, you can hear that clonk, 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 clonk. So as it is, I'm watching you to keep time. You're helping me keep time, so keep doing what you're doing. It's hard without a drummer up here.
Don't follow her.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. We're sunk. We're sunk. Oh, let's see here. Then I'll play I shouldn't do this because this one's kind of an ordeal, but I'll play a song that doesn't really have any rhythm to it. How about that? This is yeah. This is I don't want to over-explain it, but this is a song I wrote after many years ago. I was in Jacksonville, Florida for New Year's Eve with a girl I was in love with at the time and some other friends of ours. She didn't care if I lived or died, but I was in love with her and some other friends that were down there. And it was New Year's Eve, but we were all like 16, 17 years old, so there wasn't anything that we were old enough to get into. So we were a little bummed out, and we decided, okay, let's just go down to the beach, and we had like a little radio, and we'll listen to the music on the radio, and then we'll all count down with the radio man, and we'll all say Happy New Year, and it'll just be this nice special moment with just us and the ocean and the stars and the music. And it was a great idea, but unfortunately there was not a DJ working that night. And we didn't realize that meant there was not going to be any kind of countdown or anything. So eventually somebody looked at their watch and was like, guys, and we missed the whole thing. So that's what this song is about. But not just that, so much as the idea that, a lot of times when things don't go exactly the way you wanted them to, you end up looking back and thinking, that wasn't so bad after all. So that's what this song is about. This is a nostalgic song about living in the moment. It's sort of. This is called 2003. And man, every year when I play this, it makes me just feel older and older because time continues its ceaseless march onward, And when I first wrote this, it was like, 2000, that was like a couple of years ago. But
20 years.
Yeah, now we're coming up on it. Feels like 10. If it feels like 10, it's actually 20. That's the age I'm at, where if I think something was a year ago, it was 5 years ago. This is called 2003. And it doesn't have any rhythm. Sunday's best and Monday's worst. We were in between and 17 on December 31st. Hoopla and fireworks and signs hung on wire hooks. Happy New Year. Pleasant smelling strangers who we never really met, high off their ambitions and marijuana cigarettes, empty resolutions, but content in their confusion. Happy New Year. I spend a lot of time thinking about you and me, and the night we partied like it was 2003. We had punch in our teacups and on the front of your new white gown, party hats with no elastic and a radio we found full of songs we hated, but still we waited. Happy New Year. I spend a lot of time thinking about you and me, and the night we partied like it was 2003. Up to the radio and held the antenna steady while we waited on a countdown that never came, 'cause it was midnight already. So we just let the music play, and we just let the music say Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Hadn't played that one in a little while. Oh, I haven't. Oh, man. These songs that are just like ordeals. Let me mellow it out. I don't know if I'll make it that far. Here's a song I wrote about a really beautiful part of North Carolina, over by the coast, a long way from where I live in South Carolina. About as far from where I live as you can be and still be like in the Carolinas, really. It's way out there. This is called the Pamlico Sound. The stars are her covers and the ocean's her lover. But she knows that he gets around. The breeze heaves a sigh like a salty lullaby, and she falls asleep to the Pamlico Sound. They've been calling for showers for 3 or 4 hours, but there ain't been a drop hit the ground. The Atlantic's just right on this Saturday night as she falls asleep to the Pamlico Sound. Well, her line's in the water like her old grandpa taught her, and her pole's by her side on the ground. She'll sit there till it's night, just watching them bite. But she throws them back in the Pamlico Sound. Like the waves and the foam, she follows the tide, 'cause she knows it'll bring her back home. That she'll travel are steep and paved with gravel, but she left her problems in town. She holds time in her hands, and as rain hits the sand, she falls asleep to the Pamlico Sound. Thank you so much. And let me tell you, if y'all have had half as much fun out there as I've had up here, then I've had twice as much fun as you. I have. So this is a song I wrote just for this time of the evening with a buddy of mine. Wanted to write something that was sort of for all the cool people that we meet from music, if it's the other artists or the people who come and see us and support us, or the venue hosts and presenters, and or just the characters that we make up and put in our songs. They're all in here. You're probably in here too somewhere. This is called the Goodnight Chorus. Even though it doesn't have a chorus, it's just a bunch of verses like a Bob Dylan song. Good night to the waitress and the regular crowd. Good night to the band that's playing too loud. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night.
Good night to the ladies, good night to the gents. Good night, you go-getters that got up and went. Good night, good night, good night to you all, good night. Good night to the gypsies, the weary, the worried. Good night to the tipsy, the drowsy, the blurry. Good night, good night, good night to you all, good night. Good night to the cowboys and the rodeo clowns, to the salt of the earth and the dust of the ground. Good night, good night, good night to you all, good night. Good night, your street preacher reading from King James Dean. Good night, all you pushers and alleyway queens. Good night, good night, good night to you all, good night. Good night to the voice of a lost generation, singing for tips in a dark railway station. Good night, good night, good night to you all, good night. Good night, you ambitious, too big for this town. Come back when you're ready to lay some roots down. Good night to the hustlers, to the wise guys and thieves. Good night, all you skeptics and those who believe. Good night to the late crowd. Good night, early risers. Good night, all you poets. Good night, plagiarizers. Good night to the faithful. Good night to the few. Good night, all your lovers and the ones that love you. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. Good night, good night, good night to you all. Good night. I love you, everybody. My name's Jacob Johnson. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Settle down. Settle down out there. Disperse this unlawful assembly. Return to your homes. Go be with your families. Come see me in the back.